It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Colorado State head swimming and diving coach, Susanne Divelbiss. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start coaching swimming and diving?
So I was a swimmer early on, come from a large family of swimmers and from Southern California. And when I was 18, I was asked by my club coach to help me with his team because we were a small team and he didn't have any assistant coaches, and he recognized sort of my leadership abilities and my ability to see and encourage athletes. And so I started helping him coach. And basically from there on, I've sort of coached off and on from that point, while continuing to swim as well.
What was your collegiate swimming career like?
So my first college was a junior college, Grossmont College in La Mesa or El Cajon, California. And I swam there for 2 years. I was a state champion at the junior college level. I was the athlete of the year at that junior college among all the athletes in the school. And so that was a really great experience for me. I wasn't ready to go off to the 4-year college at that point. And so I really, it gave me an opportunity to kind of race at a little bit higher level. And then I decided at that point that when my next college was going to be, I wasn't going to look for a scholarship. I was going to look for a really quality team. And so I walked on to Berkeley, Cal Berkeley, and my goal was to make the travel team. And so I was there for 2 years. I made the travel team the first year. But the experience at Berkeley was just it made me love college swimming. So that's when I started coaching club. For me, it was really encouraging my young athletes to try to swim in college.
What was that like, obviously, as you said, walking on to the Cal Berkeley swim team?
Yeah, it was, that was when Matt Biondi and Mary T. Maher, they both were on the team. Obviously the women didn't train with the men, but there were a number of Olympians from other countries as well on this team. So being able to be in the same water with somebody like Mary T., Madam Butterfly, it was amazing, and it wasn't discouraging because she was a really just humble person. She was so helpful and everybody, but she could pretty much kick faster than all of us could swim. So, but I learned a lot. Our coach was a former Olympian herself, and so she was a really strong technician. So learning, technique, training techniques and all that kind of stuff was just such a valuable experience for me. And to be able to swim at that level, which is really why I wanted to go there. I wanted to swim at, again, the next level. I wanted to be challenged. And so it was just, it was just an amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful that I was able to have that opportunity. Yeah.
Of course, how was that experience like, as you said, having a former Olympian coach you in college?
Really for me, it wasn't that she was a former Olympian, but just her knowledge of the sport. I've always considered myself a technician. I always, whenever I would show up at a pool or whatever, I would always watch the people swim and find things that they could fix, right? It's just always, I like to call myself a connoisseur of athleticism. I love watching all sports because of that. I love to watch how people move and how they, how some move really well and some, don't, and how you can fix that. So I've always been kind of that kind of person. And so to be able to, train under somebody who was like that, was just, again, it's just an incredible experience, and just a great opportunity that made me not only a better swimmer, but a better coach.
What was it like for you getting involved in coaching and coaching first on the high school level?
So when I got out of college, I wasn't coaching. I was running a private swim club, and we had a team, but I didn't coach it. So there was a time period where I wasn't coaching swimming until I went to go swim again at a master's team. And the first day I was there in the water, I'm watching people. And I was like, okay, just be quiet, Susanne, don't say anything, but I think probably within the week, they asked me if I wanted to help coach. And so that's where sort of my next level of coaching came in through a master's program, which was incredible. So the reason I got into high school is because after I had 3 children, we moved back to Pueblo, Colorado, which is where my husband is from. And I wanted my kids to swim. So I started helping with the club team once my kids were old enough to swim. And then when they went into high school, the opportunities, were there, and I stepped into that job. And the thing about doing high school that's different than club is like, you really become a team, and you really work as a team. And it's, there's a lot of team spirit and that kind of stuff. Not that that's not there in club, but it's very different. And so for me, going into high school, my goal was to be able to introduce the sport of swimming to more people, because not everybody gets to be on a club team. There's a lot of kids out there that they think, oh, I get to high school, maybe I could try swimming, and so for me, I felt like as ambassador of swimming and really trying to teach, kids how swimming can be amazing. So that's kind of the way I approached swimming. And so in high school swimming, you have this full range of club, year-round athletes who are, up here. And then you have these new people who come to the water and can barely put their face in the water. And that is kind of how masters is as well. So it was a little bit of training ground for me with masters, people who want to start doing triathlons, but they don't know how to swim. So it's sort of the same in that regard. But I really enjoyed that part of it, is just really kind of being able to teach and bring kids in who aren't club swimmers and watch them, excel through one season and then through 4 years. It's pretty cool.
Of course, what were some of your accomplishments on the high school level of coaching high school swimming?
So I coached at South High School in Pueblo, Colorado, and I had a number of every year I had state qualifiers. For a period of time, I had some really fast girls on my team. So we had a state champion and state runner-up. Relays scored high. And I would say my biggest accomplishment is that every year we qualified, which, some years you have this, ebb and flow. And so some years, you don't have as many fast swimmers, and it's just about trying to get at least a relay to state or something like that. And then there's those other years where it's like, okay, we're gonna finish in the top 10 or something, or I'm gonna have a champion. So it was all over the place. But I think I would say my biggest accomplishment, actually, I would say 2. One of my biggest accomplishments is having state qualifying every single year we were there. My other is bringing girls who were not club swimmers, not year-round swimmers, to state and swimming at state. So being able to get these athletes who were not swimmers to become swimmers and fast enough to qualify at state. I would say that was always the most exciting for me, is to be able to be like, wow, you can barely put your face in the water and look at you now,
What was that like, obviously training them to one day make the states?
I mean, hard. Probably harder for them than it was for me, but it's when you're training different levels of athletes, you have to really figure out where you can make the most improvements in such a short period of time. So, you always grapple between if you had all the time in the world, you're going to get their techniques, their body positions, everything down, but you only have 10 weeks. And so it's like, you got to get them to be able to breathe, and then you got to get them moving. And so there's that balance between teaching that technique to a point where you can get them to move in the water, and then really trying to work on that training aspect of being able to get them in shape enough and fast enough and efficient enough to race fast.
Of course, how was the transition like from coaching high school to now coaching in college?
So I think the biggest transition is it's a captive audience. So I used to always think about when I was coaching high school, you just, you don't control every part about their training. So you might have, athletes whose parents then make them go to the gym, or they go and train with a club team or something like that, and you don't know that part is happening. And so then they come to your practice, and the way I coach is, I make sure that each, in a week of practices, they're getting recovery, they're getting anaerobic training, they're getting aerobic training. And so then when you don't know what else they're doing outside the doors of the pool, then it's harder to really know that they're getting what they need, or maybe they need more rest because they're doing something else. So when you coach college, you have control over all of their training for the most part. And most of the time, they're not going to go outside, because what we're doing within our training, our 20 hours a week, is enough for them. So they're getting their schoolwork done, they're doing everything else. They don't have time to go beyond that. So I think that's a big part of, really being able to control what your athletes are doing, so that when you're setting goals for them, you know what that path is going to look like, as opposed to you don't really know what the path looks like, except for what you do in the pool.
What was that like, obviously getting the job as the head coach for the swimming team for Colorado State?
So my my comment to that is second time's a charm. So when that team was originally started, which I think it was in 2013, I applied for that position. I was coaching high school, coaching club, and I've always wanted to coach college. I think at that time, my daughter, I think she had just moved off to, my youngest moved off to college, and it's like, okay, I can do this now. And so I applied for the job. Obviously I didn't get it, which was okay. It allowed me to continue to develop my club team for, a few more years. And then when the job came up again, it was, in my mind, it's always things happen for a reason, right? So when I didn't get it, it gave me an opportunity to continue to develop a club team and grow the program to a really successful program. And then when it came up again, I wasn't coaching the club team. I was only coaching high school. And it was kind of like, okay, this is my turn. It's my opportunity. So I was really excited. And I use this analogy, you have the infinity stones, right? In the, what is that called? What are the, all those superheroes or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. The Avengers, right? So you have the 5 infinity stones. And for me, the college swimming was my 5th infinity stone. So I've done club, lessons, masters, high school, now college. So I figured, I'm going to be 57 in a couple weeks. And this is the best way for me to finish out my, career as a coach, however long that's going to be. I expect it to be, a long time, but I feel like this is, I've done everything I can up to that point. That's made me ready and prepared for this. And so this is my, I guess you can say, maybe you could say swan song, but I don't see it as a swan song because I don't see myself leaving for a while. It's just the next, it's that last piece of the puzzle for me.
Of course, what was that feeling like being announced as the head coach after, obviously, you said that one last time that you got passed up and now you're the head coach now?
It was kind of like, it's my turn. And pretty excited, I think when I walked into my office, my little sign was on my door, head coach, women's swimming, just pretty cool, it just like, I've always, my degree is not in athletics at all. It's in criminal justice. but I have never stepped away from aquatics for very long. I've done it a couple times, but I always get drawn back into it. And so it was just kind of like, it's my turn. I think most of the people that I knew in Pueblo who knew me just, and even like in Colorado, coaches that I've known, they're just like, finally, it's good, you know? So I'm proud that I'm here, and I'm, you know, super excited to see what I can do.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for Plolo?
Yeah. So for me, always swimming has been like, I am so grateful to have had to be able to swim, and the coaches that I've had and the experiences that I had. And so for me, swimming is a passion. And as a mentor, as a coach, you know, it's always been my intention to not only, you know, swimming is just a sport, right? But what it does is it prepares you for life. It makes you tough. You are confident. You do things that, you know, you don't think maybe you could do, and then you do it. And then, so for me, it's about like instilling that level of excellence, not in only your sport, but in everything else you do. And so for me, as a mentor, I see myself as a mentor coach, to challenge, you know, athletes, and to become good citizens, strong individuals, and confident, so that they can go out and, you know, conquer the world, but also be productive members of society, you know, not to be above here. So for me, my culture is about teamwork. You know, it's about working together, having integrity, having, you know, a strong work ethic. Like, yeah, I know you don't want to get up in the morning, every morning, you stayed up late studying, but you got to get up, because, you know, that's life. You got to get up and you got to do the work. You got to do the work. And then, you know, that they have the rewards at the end. So it's worth the work to be able to do that kind of stuff. So that's my culture I'm trying to build. And then the other side of that is, you know, at CSU Pueblo, you know, our athletics department is been growing and getting better and better. So we're getting closer to, you know, national titles. We're scoring more points at a higher level. And so I want to be part of, I want the team here, the swim team, women's swim team, to be part of that wave. And so for me, you know, I'm looking for athletes who want to be part of that wave and want to come to school and be like, yeah, we're gonna rock it, and we're excited to be here. We have passion for swimming, and we're gonna get after it. So I'm looking for those individuals who have that energy, you know, that want to be part of this amazing wave that CSU Pueblo athletics is putting out there.
What does a typical swim meet look like for CSU Pueblo?
So at swim meets in college, you can have a different range of events that you can put out. And so typically a swim meet is either going to be a dual meet, it might be a tri meet. We have 3 teams competing. This year we actually have a quad, which are 4 teams coming to our home pool to compete. And it's just, you know, I think it's just like what you would expect, you know, a lot of cheering, a lot of splashing, and, you know, just hopefully a lot of great racing. We have music, we have announcer, officials, you know, it's just, it's like a high energy event in a small space.
Well, of course, what does a typical game day look like for you on the sideline?
So basically for me, it's about getting the pool set up, making sure everything is ready to go. So I'm there pretty early. The girls don't swim usually beforehand. We don't have a practice in the morning before we have the meet. So they get to kind of sleep in and sort of mentally prepare for their stuff. They usually come in about 11 o'clock. Maybe the meet starts at 1, so they're there a couple hours early. And for me, all of the work typically is done beforehand, right? So the days before, my lineup is set, everybody's ready to go, everything is set, all the people are scheduled. So for me on game day, I try to not be a facilitator and to be a coach. I try to put people in place who are facilitators so that I can be on the deck for my athletes.
What is that feeling like being on the deck, coaching your team to victory?
It's exciting. I love swim meets. I get really excited. I'll jump around, and I have a lot of energy. It's one thing about college swimming that's different than club swimming is, at a club meet, there might be one, maybe two. Sometimes you got, more than that in one heat, right? One round of swimming. And so, you're trying to, when you get to watch one, you can actually watch that athlete swim. You can, evaluate as you're swimming. But when you're at a college meet, you have typically 3 of your teammates or 3 of your, swimmers in the race at the same time. And so that's kind of the challenging part, because you're trying to watch everybody. You want to see how they swim. You want to give them feedback after they're done. So it's an exhausting event. It's really challenging, but I love challenges. So it's I love swim meets. They're so much fun.
Who are some of the teams that you face in each swim meet?
So we are in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and so we race against like Colorado Western. We race against Adams State. We race against Colorado Mines, Colorado Mesa. And then we actually go out to Kearney, Nebraska, and we race against them. This year we are going outside of our conference, and we're going down to New Mexico. So we're going to race a D1 team at University of New Mexico. We will race a D3 team up at Colorado College. And then when we go to like our first invite, which is at Colorado Mesa, it's a blended invitational. So you have some D1 teams there, D2 teams there. And so we'll get to race, some different caliber of athletes all the way through there. So it's just, what I like to do is I like to have this variety of a mix of athletes, so that my girls not only are they challenged, but they also have successes, right? And it's hard to get beat all the time. So it's nice to have this blend of competition that, some we're better than, some you're not better than. And both of them have a reason. There's a reason for both.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go into college swimming?
So that's a new thing for me, right? I've never coached college before this time. And so learning how to recruit athletes and how to, get them on campus and talk to them and that kind of stuff has been a huge learning curve for me. But I've been using a recruiting service, and they've been mentoring me to help me with that. So it's been really helpful. But for me, I am like, the one thing that makes me really excited is that I get to choose my athletes, right? That's a different thing between college and high school. You asked that question before. That is a huge difference, because you just have to find the right fit for them. So, still there? Okay.
Yeah, my laptop died on me. We'll start that question.
Yeah. So it's really just about, doing a lot of talking and, sharing my story, and having them share their story, and then finding that common ground where we think that it's going to work between the two of us.
What does the official visit look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go to college for swimming?
Say that again.
What does the official visit look like for those prospective student athletes looking to come to swimming?
So for me, my goal, I think about what do I want to achieve when somebody is coming onto campus. And for me, what I want them to do is I want them to know what it feels like to be a team member here at CSU Pueblo on the swim team. So my official visit is going to look like a lot of hanging out with the team, right? Because that's who they're, when you come to school and you swim on a team, you spend most of your time with your teammates. And so we have an itinerary for our athletes. They'll come in, they'll probably meet with me. I'll take them out to lunch, kind of give them an idea of what we're going to be doing. They get the itinerary, so they already have an idea. If they're not in their high school season, they can fill out paperwork and be able to actually get in the water with our team, because we actually during our campus visits, we are in season, so we are training. So I'm hoping to get as many of them in the water as possible because it gives me a chance to see them. It's like a tryout. But they're not allowed to do that if they're in their high school season. So some of them will be able to get in, some will just observe on deck. And then, we will arrange some team activities just so that they can get to know the girls better. They will do campus tours, academic advisory meetings, so they can get an idea of, what it would look like for them to be here and take classes. And then, if there's a sporting event that is happening while they're here, then we go and do that. So like this year, the weekends that we're picking for the girls to come is we have a men's soccer game that we're gonna attend. And our men's soccer team was very successful. They made it to, they made it to semifinals and nationals last year. So, they're a pretty high ranked team and pretty tough. So that's one of them. And then one of the other ones will be a football game, which is like on band day or something like that. So it's just, just what does it feel like to be in college and do that kind of stuff? Because that's all, the whole package. But for the most part, I want them to hang out with the team.
What advice would you give those prospective student athletes looking to go into college swimming?
I think be open to a lot of different options. As a club coach and high school coach, I would mentor, the kids, because like I said, it was always my goal to get kids to swim in college. And so I would mentor them about, what are you looking for in your college? And a lot of kids, they get stuck on, oh, I want to be at Stanford. I want to be at, these high ranking, popular campuses. And in my years of being a mom and a coach and watching lots of kids go off to college, my experience is that most of the time, I think people look at location first, like, oh, I don't want to go to, whatever, Boston, because it's too dang cold there, or I don't want to go. In my experience, it turns out the location doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the college feels like home to you. And so I always try to mentor in that regard. It's like, think about what you want. You want to be in a small school, medium school, large school. Do you want to be on a team that has men and women? Do you want to be on a women's team only? Do you want to go to a school that has a football program? Because, a lot of campuses, they all get riled up about football, right? And then, what do you want to study? If you don't know what you want to study, are you leaning more towards science or liberal arts? So all of those things kind of come into play. But the bottom line at the end is, how do you feel about the school?
Of course, what advice would you give those college athletes that are also college athletes, but also represent the national team?
I don't know if I don't know if I'm qualified to give them advice. I think really for them, it's just about, time management and putting the work in. I mean, the bottom line is, if you want to be good at something, you have to put the time in, and you have to be willing to get up every single day, even though you might be sore, tired, busy, whatever. You cannot stop. You have to, if you want to get to that level, it's the work that you have to put in that makes the difference.
Of course, what advice would you give those people that are looking to go into college coaching like you did?
I think for me, coming into college coaching, the coaching part was easy because I've been a coach for a long time. It's all the other stuff that you have to be prepared for, because, and you have to understand, the logistics of, like right now, before I was talking to you, I'm loading my schedule, my training schedule, into our compliance software, right? Which is something, as a coach, you don't think, right? You got your schedule, you plan your workouts, whatever you're going to do, but you got to follow those compliance rules. And so I think just be prepared for all of that other stuff. But don't let it take away from the excitement of being a coach in a college program, and keeping your athletes excited about being at your school and proud of the program that they're in.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Colorado State Swimming and Diving Program?
We are on Instagram under CSUP Swim and Dive. And then I think my Instagram is just Susanne Divelbiss. I'm not I'm not super great at social media, but yeah, I think I'm just under Susanne Divelbiss. So I'm pretty sure Colorado University has Twitter, but I don't. So I don't have a Twitter account. But for the most part, it's, I would say Instagram is where we're going to be sort of loading all of our activities and stuff like that.
Thank you again, Coach Susanne Divelbiss, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Colorado State.
All right. Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. And you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Susanne, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks. Thanks for your time.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.